Welcome back. We're getting into a conversation about education brought to you by the Star Ghana Foundation with support from Danida UK8 and the European Union. TV3 has got three separate success stories following the mission stories that we did. Take a look at these success stories. On return, we'll have a conversation with my guests who have joined me here in the studio. Take a look at this particular one. Three stories, success stories, remarkable stories that have been churned out by TV3. Take a look at it.
On July 2 this year, TV3 brought to you the story of twins James and John Tete, who have multiple disability and are battling mental illness. The twins, who ate once a day, lived under deteriorating conditions and had been chained to a post for 2 years.
I'm appealing to Ghanaians to come to our aid, especially in getting quality mental health care for the boys.
Imagine. 2 weeks after the report, help has come to the twins and their grandmother. The Christian Health Association of Ghana, a philanthropist, and the Die-Hard Fan Club of Daddy Lumba will provide mental health care to the twins with special needs. A psychiatrist and nurse from the St. Martin's de Porres Catholic Hospital at Agomanya will attend to the twins daily.
And these are twins. We got the success story just a week after the story was aired on TV3. Mission gets result, doesn't it? I've been joined this morning by Eunice Agbanyechi. She's with the Jersey and Capacity Building office. She's the manager there at Star Ghana Foundation. Eunice, welcome. Thank you for your time. Kofi Asari is the executive director of the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition. Kofi, welcome. Thank you very much. And Rose Ofusuhimba is with the Special Education Unit of the Ghana Education Service. Welcome. Good morning. How are we doing? Now, this is resounding. This is great to hear. Kofi, I'll start with you on this one. We've been talking about some of these things for quite some time. Now they are getting results. Good news?
Yeah, I think certainly good news. When we advocate for problems to be solved, when we engage institutions and stakeholders to act on their respective mandates, we have the improvement of the livelihood of the children, in mind. And so when institutions begin becoming responsive to the needs of the people that they exist to serve, then obviously advocacy getting results, or if you like, media bring results. So certainly such news are always heartwarming. And then it also encourages us, the advocates, the media development practitioners, it encourages us in the complex issues. Keep pushing until, you get a response from the stakeholders. And so certainly that's good news.
Eunice, let's look at their situation. Chained twins who are looking for salvation, so to speak, and finally salvation has come to them. Should it have taken advocacy and the stories to have gotten them the salvation? It should be a norm for everybody to be free and to grow and survive and thrive in a healthy society. What do you think?
Yeah, it should be the norm if you live in a society that embraces all individuals, regardless of their, situation, either disability or gender, location, and all of that. Unfortunately, we can't say that of our country or our communities. And I think most of us have had experiences of seeing, children with disabilities in conditions that they shouldn't be in the first place because of their disabilities. So we don't have that perfect society, and that is why it's important that we keep talking about these issues. How do we talk about these issues? We sensitize, individuals. You could be a parent, you could be a community member, but when you become aware that the situations in which these children find themselves need to be corrected or they need to get support, then you can take an action. If we also advocate, because there are institutions with mandate to respond to the needs of these children. So if we work with such institutions collaboratively, then they are able to also take up actions. And I think that it's important that we see collaboration very key to addressing issues of inclusion and inequality. And I think the media's role is very, very important, because you have just put a spotlight on this situation. There could be many, many others that are not seen. But what this tells us, it's symbolic. So what it tells us is that there are such situations. This one has received attention, and there are others that also need to be attended to.
Let me bring Auntie Rose into the conversation. The last time you were here, we had a conversation. You told me that we're making progress, we're working on plans. And where are we now in terms of creating that ideal platform or the nation that Eunice spoke about?
Thank you. I'm happy to see these things. Had it not been that we are working on it, all these things will not come to light.
Okay.
We have sensitized, advocated for these children to go to school. As I've already been saying all the time, we are coming from a certain background where we do not like to associate ourselves with children with disability. Disability is seen as a curse, and so people tend to hide. So the sensitization that we are doing, it may seem to be at a low pace, but we are working. That the stakeholders at the top need to know what they have to do in terms of this. Luckily, we have the policy in place that allows every child to go to school regardless of your situation, and to prepare the teachers.
Is it enough to have the policy and not apply the policy?
No, if you have the policy that is guiding you, then you will realize that you have something that you can lean on to work.
But Madam, so, we've had this policy for quite some time.
Yes.
And yet the situation is changing slowly.
Yes, because it is not about only those in the education. It is about everybody.
Everybody else.
And since we all have a certain kind of background with regards to children with disability, that is why we are going to that space. But we will get there. We are getting the teachers ready. Last week I was in Central Region monitoring. Some of my colleagues were in other regions monitoring to see how children with special needs who have been included are being catered for.
What was the result of this monitoring? Because we're told that 2 BEC candidates who had specifically requested for larger funds because of their visual impairment couldn't get it at the just ended BEC. They requested for it ahead of time when they were registering, and they were expecting that at the time the exams was on, they would have gotten large funds. They didn't get it. So when you talk about monitoring and evaluation,
because
and we don't get the results,
we have requested for it, and so we have to go down there to see if what we requested is being done.
They have written a BEC without the funds. So if they fail, it will be a failure on your office.
No,
don't you think so?
We do not print the question.
But you make recommendations to WAEC. So if WAEC doesn't do what they requested for, and as a result of that they fail their exam, that's a failure on your part and on the part of WAEC. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I agree with that. But the issue was with the graph, sheet. But the questions were with the bigger font size.
Okay.
So that problem it can happen, but we will not take excuse for that.
Okay.
It's unfortunate, but we're moving forward. We will need to correct this.
Kofi, this is the situation we found. They requested for specifications and they didn't get it. What do you say?
And that's not the first time, right?
Right.
Last month we were discussing an issue at WAS. Cerebral palsy students requested for assistive devices, and then they want to provide.
And this was to backtrack. When she was in JHS, she requested for same, it didn't happen. And then ahead of SHS, we actually facilitated the request, and it still didn't happen.
The challenge I have is sometimes our approach to solving some of these issues.
What's the challenge?
Okay, listen. There is an agency called the Ministry of Education. Okay, the Ministry of Education is supposed to ensure that every Ghanaian child has access to good quality education.
Absolutely.
Every Ghanaian child.
Absolutely.
Now, there's a certain GES that has been formed under the ministry to ensure that this particular vision is operationalized at the pre-tertiary level. Okay, so the ministry does policy, and then GES will do the actual implementation of the policy, service delivery. But WAEC is an intergovernmental organization and a non-governmental organization. That is the awarding body. WAEC is not for Ghana, it's for 5 countries.
Right.
Okay, including Ghana. Just that they are contested in Ghana. Now, WAEC, more or less, as an agency that the ministry is engaging, that WAEC come and assess my students for me and then award them accordingly. So who should ensure that WAEC, in delivering that mandate, is inclusive?
WAEC is a contractor, so whoever is contracting him must have the rules of the game.
So the Ministry of Education is not, it's actually not demanding enough, if they are demanding anything at all, not demanding enough from WAEC.
Because they are paying for service.
Exactly.
That is not being rendered.
The focus of the ministry is always on ensuring that exams don't leak. That's the age-old issue for the WAEC, exams don't leak. But beyond exams don't leak, what else? There are key issues of exclusion at WAEC. Every year, they come up. But when you raise the issue, WAEC is not responsive because WAEC hasn't engaged, Kofi Asare haven't engaged WAEC. WAEC has been engaged by the Ministry of Education to deliver. What are the KPIs? What is the ministry doing to WAEC?
The deliverables.
Is the ministry complaining to WAEC? What is WAEC doing about it? Because if WAEC cannot ensure that there's an inclusive system, there are so many awarding bodies.
Right.
Because we are tired of discussing this issue every day. And then we will pretend as if Special Education Department can do something about it. SPED, they didn't engage WAEC. It's the ministry. So the ministry should be engaging WAEC on these issues because this is beyond the SPED.
Thank you very much. Eunice, you have the final word.
So let's go to the ministry.
Closing thoughts on this. And good morning to you, Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh. This is on your lap. We can't keep talking about the same things over and over again. Madam, you have the final final thoughts to share.
I think that we need to strengthen the coordination between policy and financing of the policy. And one of the challenges that has affected the implementation of the inclusive education policy is funds. So until we see adequate financing for the implementation of the inclusive education policy, we will not be able to solve all the problems.
Why has it been difficult for us to get funding there? Star Ghana pushes funds, European Union will push funds, UNICEF will push funds. Everybody is pushing funds to education. So why can't we have it? Where does the money go?
Well, I think we need a whole project on where does the money go, because we do have such a project in
the budget statement is
Eastern
read,
Africa.
allocations are made, donor funding will come. We get, everybody is pushing money because we realize education is important, or we recognize so. And then we have these stories.
Yes, so I think that the Education Coalition has been running a number of campaigns on that, supported by Star Ghana. And we need to even broaden the mobilization around this issue. First of all, we need to see greater allocation.
We have overstayed our welcome.
And also monitor the implementation so that money set aside for inclusive education should be used for only that.
Right.
Well, let me quickly say that.
Where
does the money go?
Yes.
The money is very important, but there are some issues that bother on standards. Just enforcing standards. The child has paid the BCE fee. Enforce the standards and ensure that the person builds you.
Madam, 2 seconds.
Yes. So you see, the service will make sure that the WAEC is doing the right thing. All these issues are bound to happen, but when it happens, as we are reporting, then we will have to draw WAEC attention to it that
some of them we must not make them happen anymore.
No, at all.
Yeah, we must not make them happen. But thank you very much indeed for your time. Eunice Agbenyeji is with the Jesse and Capacity Department at Star Ghana. She's actually the manager there, Star Ghana Foundation. Kofi Asare is the Executive Director of the NEC and Executive Chair. Great. Sorry about that. And Rosso Fosuhini Hima is a special education unit division at the Ghana Education Center. Thank you very much. This conversation was made possible as part of our Mission Ghana project by Star Ghana Foundation and the UKA, Danida, and the European Union. When we return, I'm sure you heard about the next top actor on TV3 put together by APL. Well, the finalists are here. We have a winner. We'll share the details with you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stand back and take account, or therefore, wait there, it had to be you. That's right. I said me boom pom pom koshamechi, baby I'm a friend, baby I'm a D, or therefore, why now better me away? I said me susu oso sisi, stand back and take account, or therefore, wait there, it had to be you. It's money. Sunshine.